author and radio and television host. He also does happen to have his books out here for sale. And if you have any questions regarding constitutional principles, he is certainly an expert on that. This time, I would like to introduce Dr. Jody Hice.
Well, thank you, Felicity, and what a great honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a long, long time. Chris Walden over here is my cousin, and she got all the looks, I got all the brains, and somehow, I'm sorry, she got the looks and the brains, so I'm just kind of tagging along. Glad to have my father, Tom Hice, sitting here at the table as well, and it's always an honor to have him anywhere I can go. I've been asked to share a couple of different things with you, and first of all, I've been asked to share just a little bit of how I got involved in cultural issues being a pastor. Many of you will remember the Barrow County case when the ACLU came after Barrow County with the Ten Commandments. They were posted there in the courthouse. I happened to be pastoring at First Baptist Church at that time, and we had a number of people in our church who were directly involved in posting the Ten Commandments and so forth. And so, very, very literally, when the ACLU sued Barrow County, they literally marched right inside the doors of our church family. And so it was really out of that. It was not because I'm some great hero or anything along. I just got pushed into the whole thing. It was right to stand for our church family, right to stand for the Ten Commandments, and that opened up a chapter in my life that has forever changed me. I went before our Board of Commissioners, sad to say. I think that was the first time I'd ever been to a commission meeting, but I stood in behalf of the Ten Commandments and challenged our commissioners to fight the ACLU, and if they would do so, I would develop a way we would pay for it so it didn't come from taxpayers. And they kind of liked that idea. They immediately voted unanimously, and I had no idea what I had just stepped in. I thought very honestly that everybody would stand for the Ten Commandments, and the great shock of my life is that that was not the case. And as you well know, that case took on some national attention, and I immediately got thrust into the limelight and speaking everywhere from here to Washington, D.C., and all kinds of media stuff. And in fact, out of that experience, a radio station called and asked if I would start giving weekly. I'd have a stack about this high of letters from these organizations every election cycle, threatening me as a pastor, threatening me from dealing with these issues from the pulpit with potential lawsuits and all that sort of thing. And this has never been challenged, y'all. And the fact of the matter is, just because I'm a pastor, I have not waived my First Amendment rights simply because I'm a pastor. At the very core of the First Amendment is religious liberty, and the core of the core is in the church, and the very centerpiece of the church is the pulpit. And this is nothing other than censorship of our government determining what can and cannot be said from the pulpit, and frankly, it's none of their business. So this effort to challenge that IRS code has been growing every year since then. I anticipate this coming year we're going to have hopefully thousands of pastors and churches across the nation participating in that. So if you would like more information, feel free to get in touch with me. I'll give you all that you want to be aware of. If your church or your pastor might be interested, I'd be honored to speak with him and get him more information about the pulpit initiative. Now, beyond all that, I've been asked to share with you a little bit about some of the issues that are taking place, and good grief, how in the world do you even begin with all of that? You know, we are facing the most critical time, I believe, in our nation's history from our founding. And the only way we're going to turn this thing around is for us to possess the same spirit that our founders had, to give it everything we've got, to lay it all on the line. That's our only hope. America, in my view, right now is hanging by a thread. And unless we take this thing back right now, we are going to lose everything that we hold dear. The America that you and I have known our lives is hanging in the balance. And I have people frequently tell me that the number one, and you see this in all the polls and stuff, the number one issue on people's minds is the economy. You know, no question, the economy is an important issue, but, you know, I've got to tell you, what we're facing in this country is much bigger than our economy. And the threats against our nation are much larger and much broader and much more expansive than just the economy. We are on the throes of losing everything we are as a nation. And I remember, in fact, Representative Tom Price has our representation here today. I was in a meeting with him a couple of years ago, and he brought forth a quote by Daniel Webster that until that time I've never heard before. But the quote from Webster was this. He said, "Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution." All right, now listen, this will give you a little insight of what we're facing in America. Webster said, "Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and to the republic for which it stands." He said, "Miracles do not cluster, and what happened once in 6,000 years may never happen again. Hold on to the Constitution, for if the American Constitution should fail, there will be anarchy throughout the world." Now listen, we are watching right now our Constitution being attacked from every imaginable angle. I mean, we obviously out in the limelight with First Amendment cases, Second Amendment cases, Fourth Amendment with search and seizure and all this sort of thing. But we are literally watching our Constitution being chipped away at now to the point that it is virtually crumbling right before our eyes. And it's all under the guise of good intentions. It is, for example, we've got to be good and take care of our fellow Americans, 40 million or whatever of whom don't have insurance. And so we, out of the kindness of our hearts, must have Obamacare to take care of all these people. And in so doing, out of these good intentions, we watch a power grab from our government come in, and we watch our Constitution decrease in its reality. It is under the good intentions of we've got to protect ourselves from terrorist attacks and terrorist threats that we are now watching agencies like the TSA absolutely take advantage of us. We're watching in Florida now, almost, it seems, on a weekly basis, SWAT teams coming in on different motels or businesses or whatever, and having all sorts of unconstitutional searches and seizures. We are watching our Constitution fall right before our eyes. And, Webster, in fact, had another quote about this. And listen to this. Tell me if this is not just right where we're living. Webster said this. He said, "Good intentions will always be used for every assumption of authority." He said, "And it's not a stretch to say that our Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions." He said, "In every era are men who mean to govern well, but they mean to govern. They promise to be good rulers, but they mean to be rulers." So that's not what we're living. We are watching our elected officials. Never before in my lifetime, and never before in your lifetime, regardless of your age, have we seen in America where it is the government versus the people like we are watching today. And it's all under the guise of good intentions. Oh, we need to do this, and we need to help that, and we are totally departing our mindset as well as our experience and our lifestyle from our constitutional form of government in the process. And there have been many people, Franklin, I believe, among others, who said that any people who would be willing to give up their constitution for the sake of security deserve neither. Now listen, that's where we're going. I remember reading one time a quote from James Garfield. He was president in the late 1800s. And y'all, this is like, to me, reading tomorrow's newspaper so far as it relates to where we stand in our government these days. But he said, now, more than ever before, the people are responsible for the character of their Congress. If that body be ignorant, reckless, and corrupt, it is because the people tolerate ignorance, recklessness, and corruption. If they be intelligent, brave, and pure, it is because the people demand these high qualities to represent them in the national legislature. Then he said this: if the next centennial does not find us a great nation, it will be because the people who represent the enterprise, the morality, and the culture of our nation did not aid in controlling the political forces. Wow. You know, and I read stuff like that from these people so many years ago. And I'm thinking, what is it going to take to shake us up? Now, I know that, I know that preaching to the choir this morning, y'all are so on the front line. And I say to you, thank you 1,000 times over. You know, we need thousands of more of people just like you who get it, who understand just what we're facing in this country and what it's going to take for us to reclaim this. But it is the people who are responsible for the character of our government. Be it on a local level, for those of you who are running, be it on a state level, be it on a federal level. Folks, this is where you and I have got to step up to the plate. We have so much work to do. You know, I look back, and people all the time, I hear excuses. I speak in a lot of different places, and frequently hear excuses from largely Christians who say things like, we have more important things to do in our church, or whatever it may be, our organization. We have more important things to do, or, you know, politics are so corrupt. If we get involved in all that stuff, we're going to risk being tainted ourselves. No, I'm telling you, we are watching. There are 3 institutions that have been ordained and instituted by God in the Bible: family, church, and government. And all 3 of those, they're man-ordained institutions we in America have always cherished. So you've got family as the core, and church doesn't override family. Family is its own unit. And then you've got church, and government doesn't interfere with church. And then you've got government, which is represented by the people. And we have always been a nation that recognized these 3 institutions, and we have guarded them, and we've protected them. And now all 3 of them are under such attack. Well, I don't have to tell you what's happening in our American family. We don't even understand the definition of family anymore. We don't even understand the definition of marriage. They're so convoluted, this thing. Now, marriage is between a man and a woman. Anything else is not a marriage. It may be some sort of relationship, but let's not redefine the terms and call anything other than marriage, marriage. Right. You know, to do so, let me tell you something. And y'all okay with this? Marriage is not all about love. All right, now listen to me. We are told and they did for a couple of months. They harassed one of the other pastors up in Minnesota, but then they dropped all the charges. That whole thing started with the Johnson Amendment. Lyndon Johnson, 1954. He barely won his Senate race from Texas, and his greatest opponents in Texas were members of different Christian organizations who saw him as being soft on communism and some other things. And so when he finally won and he went to